It looks like this woman is single, but she has feelings for someone. She is looking so intensely at this photo. But is it really a sister that she's studying in this manner? They made the perfect couple, am I correct?
Yes, in a way. She was pretty.
Well?
He's a bright man, with a promising career ahead of him. He would have made Betty a good husband. He was always attentive and generous. Oh, a true gentleman.
I hear a note of envy in your voice.
You must have heard wrong.
Donald appeared to be very much in love with your sister.
Yes, he was mad about her.
Mad, you say? Being madly in love can often be destructive, and Mr. Fraser was known for being jealous, I believe.
No more than average. Men are always slightly possessive, especially when they are with a pretty woman.
I am not your enemy, Mademoiselle Bernard.
And you are not my friend either, Mr. Poirot, sir.
Yes, but your lies are not helping Mr. Fraser, or you for that matter. I know that Fraser was jealous, but I wonder why you feel the need to protect him.
Protect him? I hope you're not suggesting...
That you are Fraser's accomplice? There is nothing to suggest that, at least not yet. It would appear that your sister's murder is the second in a series that we have to stop as quickly as possible. The first was in Andover, and the same as your sister, the murderer sent me a letter informing me that a crime would be committed in that town. Now can I count on your honesty?
Yes, you have my confidence, Mr. Poirot. Don is a quiet and sensitive young man, slightly reserved too, and as is often the case with reserved people, when he flew into a temper, he completely lost control. He could be so violent. Betty was frightened.
And when was this?
The first time was about a year ago, but they rowed more recently. Donald found out that Betty had lied to him. She said she was going out with a girlfriend, but she went out for dinner with a married man. It was an awful scene. She told him that until they were married, she was free to go with whoever she pleased. Donald turned quite pale and started shaking and kept saying one day...
Well?
He'd commit murder.
Do you think that is what happened?
No, Mr. Poirot, I don't believe that. You yourself said he may be a recidivist madman. Don loved Betty with all his heart. I can't imagine for one instant that he would hurt her.
Very good, Mademoiselle Bernard. Thank you for your help.
Fraser is at the Ginger Cat. The police haven't spoken to him, but they want to.
Très bien, Hastings. Let's see him now. Au revoir, mademoiselle. My deepest condolences to your parents.
Of course, Mr. Poirot. And don't be too hard on Don. He's more fragile than he looks.
If you say so. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work. You see,
He's a big chap. Fragile isn't exactly the word that springs to mind. I talked to his landlady before seeing him. She went to bed at 11. Fraser wasn't home yet.
bien. Megan Barnard said he is a reserved character but with a nasty temper. We will see if this is the case. How do you do, Mr. Fraser?
Hercule Poirot. Mr. Hastings.
Yes. I know that it may not be the right time, but I would like to ask you a few questions. This man looks suspicious. Donald Fraser is in a terrible state, as if he hadn't slept all night. And he's drinking White Horse.
Leave me alone. Tell me that it's a mistake.
Sadly, did you visit Betty yesterday afternoon?
No, I haven't seen Betty for 2 days. I was at the office yesterday afternoon.
Can you prove that?
Of course. But why this question? Betty died yesterday evening, didn't she?
Betty was murdered during the night, but that does not prove that she did not meet her murderer earlier in the day.
So am I a suspect?
Everybody close to Betty is a suspect, Mr. Fraser. I would be a very poor detective if I did not examine all possible eventualities. Do you know what Betty's plans were yesterday evening?
She said she was having dinner with her sister.
And you believed her?
And why not, sir? She was my fiancée.
That did not stop her from lying to you before. Betty was not a bad girl, but she did like to take advantage of her success with men.
How dare you sully her memory?
Please excuse me if I appear to be brutal. I understand that this is a difficult time for you.
So you understand why I don't feel like talking, Mr. Poirot?
Ah, and I thought the victim's young man was here.
Yes, is all yours, Chief Inspector. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Fraser doesn't have an alibi and he's extremely jealous.
You are very skilled at summing up.
And yet you haven't asked Japp to arrest him.
It is too soon, but I agree. Without the letters announcing the crimes, Fraser would already be behind bars.
I can't imagine how the murderer wasn't seen, though. Surely she must have struggled.
Let us try and imagine the scene. The killer and the victim are walking on the beach. Miss Betty has a bag, a belt around her waist, and carries her shoes in her hand. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 5. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 6. Miss Betty enters the hut. She leaves without her belongings. Then she hides a coat.
The killer tries to remove his victim's belt. She panics and tries to stop him. She runs away, pursued by her assailant.
No, there is no sign of a chase. Things must have happened differently. Let us think again, mon cher. The killer and the victim are walking on the beach. Miss Betty has a bag, a belt around her waist, and carries her shoes in her hand. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 5. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 6. Miss Betty enters the hut. She leaves without her belongings. 'belongings. 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 ' They keep walking. Then she removes her belt.
The murderer moves behind her and then attacks her by surprise. The body falls, lifeless, on the sand.
Everything appears to match the crime scene, mon cher Hastings. That is exactly what happened. Without the ABC, we might have suspected Mr. Asher and Mr. Fraser. But by signing his crimes, the murderer is making sure he's accused. In a way, it is very generous of him.
Generous? The murderer seduced Betty in order to lure her to the beach and kill her.
Indeed, the young woman was certainly careless, but not stupid enough to follow a stranger.
What are you planning to do, Poirot?
Return to London, mon cher Hastings. Right, back to London. There.
Jap.
It is not a bad idea. The more people who know, the greater our chances of finding out something of interest.
Poirot, I have a bad... Poor Mr. Poirot, not so good at these little criminal matters as you thought yourself, are you? Rather past your prime, perhaps. Let us see if you can do any better this time. This time, it's an easy one. Churston on the 30th. Do try and do something about it. It's a bit dull having it all my own way, you know. Good hunting. Ever yours, ABC. Good hunting. Did you hear that, Poirot? The murderer seems to be taking it all as a game, a challenge. He will strike on 30th in Churston. We must warn Scotland Yard. No time to lose. We must prepare our suitcases for Churston.
Mon Dieu, it is already 10 o'clock. I will call Scotland Yard immediately. Hello, Jap. We received a new letter from ABC in the 10 o'clock post.
Where and when?
In Churston. Today.
Today? I'll inform the population immediately.
I'll check the train times. Call me back. Hastings.
Heavens, we must hurry. We have to get to Churston before the murder.
You're right, Hastings. It is an emergency.
Poirot, you were right. I've just consulted the ABC guide. There's no hurry. The next train doesn't leave till 11:45.
You see, there is no need to hurry. We will not be in Churston until tomorrow morning. After the murder.
But why has the murderer warned us so late? It's not what he usually does. Did he do it on purpose?
Very good question, Hastings. We should also compare the letter we have just received with the other two. Although I have very little doubt about what we will find. Miss Hastings tore the envelope. Right, let us compare this new letter with the second one. Let us examine this more closely. Certain characters in the two letters may have similar defects. Yes, this I is weird. Yes, the I characters in the two letters do indeed have the same defects. I have to find some other similar defects to confirm my theory. The W is not printed properly. Of course, the W characters in the two letters do indeed have the same defects. I have to find some other similar defects to confirm my theory. Yes, the A appears to be quite unusual. That's right. The A characters in the two letters do indeed have the same defects. My theory was right. These two letters... Let us now try and get our brain cells to work. The letter should have arrived in time. The postmark shows that it was sent 3 days ago. However, our man made a mistake in the address, which explains the delay. All the same, the post office took their time.
Come on, Poirot. Your address is not quite as well known as that. Poirot, the telephone.
I have some news from Churchton. Bad news, I'm afraid. Sir Carmichael Clark was murdered while out on his evening walk.
Sir Carmichael Clark. The name is familiar.
He was a famous throat specialist, one of the best in London. A wealthy man, he retired to Combside, a beautiful house by the sea. He collected antiques.
Are you going there?
Yes, let's meet on the train. The victim is called Sir Carmichael Clark, one of the best throat specialists in London. The body was still warm when we found it.
It appears that the murderer made a mistake when he wrote his letter.
A mistake? Lucky for him.
And what if he did it on purpose?
No. He's defined his madcap rules and he's sticking to them. It's a matter of pride for him. Shall we go up to the house, Poirot?
You go, my friend. I will come soon. An ABC guide. The murderer's customary signature, covered in blood this time. Sir Carmichael's throat was cut. It's a clean incision, a professional murder. Apart from the wound to the throat, the body is untouched. No cuts, no bruises. The gravel on the path has been sprayed with blood that covers a conical-shaped area. which starts at the body and becomes wider as it moves further from the bush. Jap has him. An oriental dragon. It's an old piece, much older than a pocket. Nothing appears to be missing from this wallet. A signet ring, very probably with the Clark family's coat of arms. It is pointless. This place is very... The site is exceptional. It is easy to imagine that Sir Carmichael used to enjoy stopping here every evening. The body is just in front of a bush. The vegetation behind the bush has been trampled. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work. Sir Carmichael had his back to the bush when the killer cut the throat from behind. A fatal blow that sprayed blood over a range of more than 1 meter. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Have you finished?
Chief Inspector, many questions remain. The killer has prepared his crime very carefully.
Quite right. He must have known Sir Carmichael's movements well to plan such an attack.
The murderer struck with terrible savagery.
Yes, blood flowed. It's the first time he's attacked a man. He armed himself accordingly.
Have you spoken to the victim's family, Chief Inspector?
I've spoken to the brother, Franklin Clark. I didn't get much out of him. He's yours. I must get the body removed.
To be honest, this inspector seems rather obtuse. I'm counting on your friend Poirot to catch my brother's... Ah, here he is now. Please, Mr. Poirot. Mr. Poirot, this is my brother's secretary, Miss Thora Gray.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Poirot. Would you like some tea?
No, thank you, mademoiselle. I find it hard to digest. It is not the right time. There is something very viril about him. There is something very viril about him. Franklin Clark is an adventurer, the sort of man that women like. There is something elegant about her. She has good taste, except perhaps in her choice of jewelry.
Please excuse me, I have to take care of Lady Clark.
My brother's wife is gravely ill. You will probably want to question her, but I fear that it won't be possible today.
I insist, Mr. Clark. Please allow me to remind you that this is a murder inquiry.
Unfortunately, she is much too ill. She doesn't even know her husband is dead. I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid it's out of the question.
Of course, I understand. Someone set a trap for your brother. Who was familiar with his habits?
Everybody knew he took his evening walk at 8:30, and that he always followed the same path.
Was it a dark night?
It was a new moon. I took a lantern.
So it was you who found the body?
Yes, along with the gardener.
Have you seen any strangers around the house recently?
No. As far as I know, nobody has been near the house.
Miss Clark.
Oh, Lady Clark must have fallen from her chair. I have to help Miss Gray get her up.
Hastings, while our host is gone, let's examine the drawing room.
But, Poirot, a gentleman shouldn't...
I take full responsibility. All you have to do is to leave the drawing room door ajar and let me know if anyone is coming. There are some very valuable objects here. There are some very valuable objects here. Sir Carmichael's collection could rival that of a major museum. turtle, the dragon, the crane and the tiger. I think I've already seen this motif somewhere. The position of each motif is correct, but they are not turned the same way as on the table. The position of each motif is correct, but they are not turned the same way as on the table. think I heard a bang. Could it be this cupboard? This is interesting. These daggers are only ceremonial weapons. I do not think that the crime weapon is here. These daggers are only ceremonial weapons. I do not think that the crime weapon is here. Ernest Logan. Lady Clark, your wife is suffering from a generalized terminal cancer. I confess I didn't suspect anything like that during the first exams. But with the test results I have received today, there is unfortunately no place for doubt. I estimate that Lady Clark's life expectancy is no more than 1 year. Hospitalization would not help in her case, so I advise you to keep her at home and provide her with as much morphine as required to ease her last moments. Yours sincerely, Ernest Logan.
Here's Miss Gray.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Lady Clark's condition requires regular care. I believe you want to ask me a few questions.
Indeed, mademoiselle. This porcelain is remarkable. Is it old?
It's about 3 centuries old, I believe. Wait, let me find the reference.
She appears to be very flustered. She is unable to hide her emotion, and her makeup has been disturbed. I think that this young woman has just been kissed.
Here? Teapot with black dragon, Gangxi period, end of the 17th century. It is a rare piece with unusual colours.
You have a good knowledge of art history.
Acquired while working with Sir Carmichael. I used to help him manage his collection and choose his new acquisitions.
Did you have a good relationship with your employer?
He treated me well, and I am sorry for his death.
Have you seen any strangers hanging around in the past few days?
No. Nobody has been near Comside.
What were you doing yesterday evening at the time of the murder?
I was sleeping. I was woken by the telephone at 11. I heard Franklin Clark speaking with the gardener. They left with some lanterns and they found the body.
What are your feelings about Franklin Clark?
What an odd question. Of course I think he's a good man. He's energetic, nice, very sociable.
Miss Gray, if I may be so bold, please do not take offence. My friend has rather unusual methods, but all he wants is to find the murderer.
Yes, I understand. I must rest. Please excuse me.
Earlier, you asked me to watch the living room door for you. I don't wish to be indiscreet, but sometimes a gentleman stumbles upon a secret without intending to.
That is sometimes the case.
And I saw Franklin Clark kissing Miss Gray at the foot of the stairs.
Do you think this is a common occurrence?
No, I saw emotion, intensity. I think it was their first kiss.
Well done, mon ami. Well spotted.
However, I don't think I completely understand this business. Why did Sir Carmichael not defend himself? He appeared to have been active and strong.
The murderer did not give him a chance. Let us try and reconstruct the scene. Sir Clark is taking his customary walk. Our killer is hiding behind a bush. The old man walks quietly along the gravel path.
He then passes the bush and continues on his way to the house.
No, Sir Clark used to gaze at the sea. Let us think again. Sir Clark is taking his customary walk. Our killer is hiding behind a bush.
The murderer leaps out of his hiding place and charges armed with a knife. The victim sees him and protects himself.
No, Sir Clark was attacked by surprise. He could not see his assailant. Let us think again, mon cher. Sir Clark is taking his customary walk. Our killer is hiding behind a bush. The old man walks quietly along the gravel path. Then he turns towards the sea to gaze at it. The killer leaves his hiding place on the right-hand side. He approaches silently over the grass. Then he throws himself on his prey and cuts the poor man's throat. He then lays down the ABC before leaving. Everything appears to match the crime scene, mon cher Hastings. That is exactly what happened.
Oh, just a minute. I'm getting dressed.
Mr. Kirst, have you recently returned from Churston?
Yes, indeed I have.
Have you seen the papers? And to think that you might have rubbed shoulders with the killer. Imagine that. Mr. Kirst, are you all right? You don't seem well.
My apologies. My throat is burning and my head feels heavy. It's ever since the war, you know. Since my injury, my head has never been the same.
Poirot, it's a pleasure to be with you again after all these years. I looked for a gift.
An authentic collector's item. You spoil me, mon ami.
And you more so by sharing investigations.
Do not underestimate the help you are to me, Hastings. Intellect is not everything. There is also goodwill, and you are not short of that. Later, I will ask you to help me tidy up the room and bring some chairs. Our guest will be here soon.
Ah, is Thora Grey coming?
Naturally. She is a fascinating young woman, n'est-ce pas?
Oh, come on, Poirot. I'm a married man. And Miss Grey has already been courted by Franklin Clark. Poirot, our guests will be here soon. We must prepare ourselves.
I should take advantage of the silence to examine them. Sometimes I love a brunette, sometimes I love a blonde. That's what the song says.